Deep beneath the surface of Kherson, 25 Russian officers sat confidently around a briefing table, convinced that reinforced concrete and layered air defense systems rendered their underground bunker untouchable. Above ground, satellite imagery carefully analyzed by Ukrainian intelligence revealed hidden antennas among the trees and a camouflaged entrance that looked more like a forest depot than a command center, offering an illusion of total invisibility. Then, in a sudden twist, only minutes later, the ground trembled violently. What seemed impenetrable collapsed, transforming the bunker into a tomb. This wasn't fiction. It reflects verified reports showing how a Ukrainian F-16, armed with two 454-kilogram JDAM-ER smart bombs, struck precisely at a secret underground command post, hosting high-ranking Russian officers. The gravity of this event is undeniable. A deep underground stronghold, thought secure, was erased in a single, meticulously timed strike. What allowed that strike to succeed? And how did Ukraine piece together enough intelligence to hit such a hidden target so decisively? The answers lie ahead. What makes a supposedly invisible target suddenly so vulnerable? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Military Power so you never miss the next deep dive into modern warfare's biggest secrets. Ukrainian intelligence identified unusual radio spikes from a newly installed antenna in a Kherson tree line, with signals clustering after midnight and before dawn. Satellite imagery confirmed supporting details: deepening tire tracks on an access road, a new transformer, and camouflage nets covering a recently placed slab. Analysts describe this as the pattern of a command node in a battlefield now saturated with sensors. Follow-up drone flights added evidence. Thermal cameras showed generator surges aligned with the radio bursts, while surveillance logged box trucks arriving at irregular hours. Analysts mapped which antennas activated together and linked these findings to command traffic, not logistics. Defense experts note that this integration of signals, intelligence, drones, and imagery now defines Ukraine's strike process, shrinking the time from suspicion to confirmation. Satellite imagery indicated the site functioned as a nerve center. No loading docks appeared, but footprints expanded around a concealed entrance. Similar methods previously revealed targets, including Russian bombers destroyed in June 2025, later verified by commercial satellite photos. Routine patterns further confirmed the assessment. Guards rotated every 3 hours, a staff car made weekly visits, and convoys aligned with late-night transmissions. Independent think tanks highlight such repetitive anomalies as indicators of headquarters activity. With the function identified, planners considered feasibility. The introduction of Western-supplied F-16 and JDAM-ER bombs created options for striking hardened underground command posts from outside Russian air defense zones. Analysts then tracked altered routines, disturbed ground near the tree line, shifts in truck schedules, and new communication syncs between multiple antennas. Experts concluded that disciplined fusion of these signals, not single sensors, exposed the target's rhythm and vulnerability. The challenge remained. Locating the headquarters was not enough. To neutralize it, Ukraine needed to strike at depth, and at the exact moment when the maximum number of officers were inside. The runway hummed under the early evening light, not with casual taxiing, but with purpose. Hidden deep in Ukraine's rear, a mobile airstrip came alive. 2 JDAM-ER bombs, each weighing around 454 kilograms and fitted with pop-out wings for extended glide, were carefully armed beneath the wings of an F-16. These weren't just any bombs. The JDAM-ER's wings allowed them to glide over 64 kilometers, roughly 40 miles, toward their target, giving the aircraft enough room to stay far from the thickest Russian air defense zones. Fuel trucks waited in the shadows, topping off auxiliary tanks that would extend the F-16's range and loiter time. On another pylon, an ALE 50-towed decoy lay ready, an expendable electronic lure designed to trail behind the jet and attract radar-guided missiles, sparing the pilot and aircraft in case Russian S-400 or Pantsir systems locked on. As sunset deepened, operators turned their attention to UAVs buzzing overhead. These drones would serve as radar baits, drawing hostile attention toward false targets. Only after confirming radar tracking locks on decoys would the F-16 slip in low, hugging the terrain to stay below radar coverage. It was a delicate dance. Once past the outer radar zone, the jet would perform a high-G pop-up, climb sharply to release the JDAM-ER weapons, then descend and turn away before incoming fire could react. This tactic depended on stealth, precision, and timing. F-16s are nimble and advanced, equipped with NATO standard systems, multiple hardpoints, and capable radars. That configuration allowed these jets to carry JDAM-ER, AIM-120 AMRAAMs, and other NATO munitions directly, something Ukraine's older Soviet aircraft couldn't match. Yet officials caution that these fighters aren't magic bullets. Russia's air defenses are formidable, and losses have already occurred. On the operations map, the strike window tightened. Intelligence pinpointed when Russian commanders gathered inside the bunker, identified through the pattern of radio bursts, convoys, and guard shifts captured in earlier chapters. The plan hinged on hitting that precise moment. As the sun dipped fully below the horizon, the runway lights glowed, engines warmed, the ALE-50 decoy, NDA-loaded JDAM-ERs, and UAV disruptions were not just hardware, they were pieces in a chess game. A single F-16, flying low and invisible, might just make it through layers of defenses. Could one jet outmaneuver an entire Russian shield? That question hung heavy in the humid air. And so, as the mobile runway's lamp bathed the jet in readiness, the answer was about to be tested. As night embraced the Kherson skies, Ukraine's mission entered its most perilous phase. First came the silence, then the break. UAVs climbed into view, programmed not to spy, but to decoy. Moments later, radar screens in the Kremlin's air defense network flared to life. Russian systems locked on, missiles launched, but they found only a phantom. The unmanned drone vanished, while air controllers at the mobile runway watched the trap succeed. Seizing the distraction, the F-16 raced forward at treetop level. In mere seconds, it became invisible both to sight and radar, melding with the terrain. Then, in a single, physics-defying moment, the fighter executed what aviators call a pop-up maneuver, climbing sharply, shedding low altitude to clear the tree line and release its payload with deadly precision. It carried 2 JDAM-ER smart bombs, gravity weapons transformed by pop-out wings. When released, those wings unfolded mid-air, giving the bombs standoff glide capability of up to 70 kilometers, enabling them to strike far without exposing the jet to concentrated air defense fire. These weren't dumb iron bombs falling blindly. Each carried GPS/INS guidance, capable of landing within just a few meters of its target. Even if GPS signals were jammed, inertial guidance maintained an accuracy of about 5 to 30 meters. As the F-16 popped up into the night sky, the bombs arced toward Kherson's hidden bunker. Inside, Russian commanders remained unaware that their stronghold, guarded by concrete layers and high-tech shelters, would soon be their tomb. At 15:25, the bombs struck in near-perfect synchronization. The camera panned upward, capturing 2 fiery streaks descending, shrouded in dust-walking beams in the shadow of the earth. That image froze the moment when time stretched and everything changed. This wasn't just a strike, it was theater crafted by intelligence, timing, and the engineering evolution of air-to-ground weaponry. An F-16, once limited by legacy systems, had transformed into a precision, stalking predator ghosting past defenses with UAV decoys, unfolding bombs capable of navigating miles to their target, and leveraging navigational resilience even in contested electromagnetic space. That moment rewrote the rules. A lone jet delivered a killer punch beneath ground deemed impervious, and with that, the currency of invulnerability, secure bunkers, trusted radar, multi-layered defenses shattered. The strike's choreography proved that technology, patience, and timing can turn even fortified hiding places into collapsing graves. Could a single aircraft really outsmart a nation's layered defense? Kyiv answered that question with 2 glowing arcs and 1 fatal blow delivered in the heart of darkness. The ground trembled, not with the deafening crack of surface explosions, but with a deeper, more haunting vibration, an ominous growl rising from the earth itself. There was no fireball, no plume of smoke curling into the sky to announce destruction. Instead, the strike's violence remained hidden, swallowed beneath the soil. Above, the air seemed still, yet the world shifted as though something enormous had cracked beneath the crust. That single, muffled umph carried more terror than 100 cannons. It marked the instant when a fortress built on arrogance began its final collapse. Inside the bunker, reality unraveled in a heartbeat. Reinforced concrete poured thick, layered with steel, designed to resist shells, and even chemical shockwaves snapped under pressure like brittle twigs. Every vital artery of the complex fractured, ventilation shafts imploded, auxiliary tunnels caved in, and support pillars buckled as if made of clay. What engineers had sworn would endure instead folded in seconds, undone by a pair of precision weapons with delayed fuses engineered to burrow deep before releasing their fury. The JDAM-ER didn't just strike the roof of the bunker, it cut into the heart of it, detonating where the structure was weakest, amplifying the collapse until nothing remained intact. The scene inside must have been apocalyptic. Corridors twisted, stairwells sheared away from their landings, and communication rooms filled with choking dust. Radios that seconds earlier carried voices of authority went silent in a single breath. The underground galleries meant to be immune to chaos became the epicenter of it. Pipes burst and spewed blind torrents. Electrical conduits sparked briefly before plunging the chambers into darkness. The bunker's heartbeat, the hum of systems, the steady rhythm of command flatlined mid-pulse. When the dust finally settled, 25 officers were gone. Not just ordinary soldiers, but the brains of Russia's forward campaign. Staff planners, intelligence chiefs, the battalion commander himself, and his chief of staff. All of them had gathered for a high-level briefing, believing that meters of earth and concrete made them untouchable. Instead, they had been buried alive by the very ground that was supposed to protect them. What hours earlier had functioned as a nerve center now lay silenced, transformed into nothing more than a tomb. The symbolism was as devastating as the strike itself. Observers from independent defense institutes, including seasoned analysts, emphasize that underground command posts are not just concrete. They are psychological pillars meant to project safety and continuity to those fighting above. Destroying one doesn't just erase leaders, it ripples outward, shattering morale, cutting supply chains, and leaving frontline units adrift without guidance. Forbes and other outlets have noted that Ukraine's precision strikes against command nodes consistently deliver outsized impact, not because of the size of the blast, but because of the collapse in confidence they trigger. And this strike, by all accounts, was among the most consequential. Above ground, the destruction revealed itself in eerie details. The once sealed entrance sagged inward, warped and cracked. Camouflage that had fooled satellites now hung shredded, exposing wreckage beneath. Emergency lighting flickered dimly in peripheral corridors, only to die moments later, swallowed by failing generators. To onlookers, it was as if the entire complex had exhaled its last breath. The silence that followed was absolute, not the silence of calm, but of a heartbeat stopped forever. Consider the scale of what had just happened. One F-16, launching from a mobile strip, armed with 2 JDAM-ER bombs, had erased an entire command structure in seconds. Years of planning, millions in fortification, and a shield of high-tech air defenses all failed to prevent the collapse. The bunker was supposed to be Russia's invisible hand in the region. Now it was a crater in the earth, its story written in dust and debris. And here is where the story turns from military precision to chilling intrigue. Was this outcome a stroke of battlefield luck? An opportunistic strike against a target that happened to be occupied? Or had Ukraine been watching, listening, waiting for the exact moment when the maximum number of high-ranking officers were inside, knowing that a strike at any other time would not carry the same devastating weight. Did intelligence teams time the release not simply to destroy concrete, but to decapitate leadership in one fell swoop? That question lingers like smoke in the air. And it's one I'll put to you. Do you believe this was coincidence or proof that Ukraine has perfected the art of waiting until the knife can cut deepest? Share your view in the comments, because sometimes the most important battlefield secrets are not in the weapons, but in the patience behind when to use them. Silence settled over the battlefield like an aftershock. With the bunker beneath Kherson gone, Russia's forward command collapsed not by inspection, but by execution of a masterstroke strike. In its absence, artillery coordination, drone patrols, and logistics lines fell into disarray. Reports from similar tactical blows in Kursk and beyond show that once command nodes fall, units lose both direction and rhythm almost instantly. As communications lines snapped, frontline troops found themselves effectively without eyes and ears. With no voice steering their artillery, no feed coordinating UAV swarms, and no command issuing resupply orders, chaos ensued. For nearly 3 days, about 72 hours, Russian defenses in the sector stood paralyzed. Ukrainian commanders describe such collapse as a chain reaction, where the gray zone between order and disintegration is surprisingly thin, especially when leadership is removed at the moment of planning. Ukraine didn't wait for that gap to close. They unleashed a wave of tactical probes, small, rapid advances and feints, targeting supply arteries, command centers, and stacking depots. Each micro-offensive disrupted the already fragile logistics chain, overwhelming Russian reactive capacity. Locals and analysts alike note how quickly debacle morphs into opportunity once structure unravels. Then came the twist. While analysts watched for confirmation of the bunker's destruction and received it via satellite intelligence imagery, also captured a telltale sign: Russian staff vehicles and containers being moved far deeper behind the lines. Emergency convoys pushed command equipment, encrypted radios, and communication nodes into rear zones, even as UAVs and satellites watched. That urgent relocation marked two truths. First, Ukraine managed to force the enemy's center of gravity to shift. Second, while the deep strike destroyed a bunker, it exposed another problem. Russia now dispersed its command, grinding the command link deeper into obscurity, farther from its troops, but safely away from immediate danger. Instant collapse, Ukrainian probes, and a rushed command shift illustrate the immediate tactical consequences of the strike. A single wave of destruction triggered hours of paralysis and uncertainty across an entire front. The nerve center became an emergency meeting of mobile headquarters, pushing communications backup after backup into camouflaged containers behind the Dnipro. The broader lesson. In today's battlefield, destruction of physical infrastructure isn't enough. What matters is timing hitting the command when it's fully assembled, exploiting the chaos that follows, and forcing the adversary to respond while still reeling. That's how a single precision strike ripples into hours, even days, of battlefield advantage. What followed the strike wasn't a one-off success. It became a playbook. Ukrainian strategists quickly seized upon what worked and turned it into doctrine. The mix of a mobile F-16, winged JDAM-ER bombs, and decoy launching UAVs didn't remain a novelty, it became the new standard. They didn't just tweak the plan, they built the system. Rolling airstrips sprung up in fields, forest clearings, and disused strips, each backed by mobile support modules mounted on trucks. These units, developed with the support of the Come Back Alive Foundation and Ukraine's Defense Ministry, contained everything needed: mission planning workstations, weapons prep space, even rest areas for pilots. Maintenance and munitions handling could happen right in the field rather than at a static base. This shift wasn't minor, it was a leap. As one military aviation expert noted, these mobile systems let F-16s operate from less likely airfields, such as short and civilian strips, and change locations before anyone could target them, a lethal game of hide and seek. Moreover, the software on both ends, the latched-in targeting systems, coordinate feeds, precision timing tools, was refined for speed. As pilots became more familiar with their jets and ground teams more streamlined in their workflows, response times shrunk dangerously. What once took half a day to plan could now launch in hours, catching Russian defenses flat-footed. The beauty of the model was its efficiency. Compared to conventional artillery barrages and pounding with cannon fire, heavy, costly, and traceable, this system was lean, quick, and devastating. Rather than saturating an area, Ukraine targeted the head and watched the body fall apart. As defense analysts have observed, decapitating a command node with precision costs less, risks less, and accomplishes more than dragging out a prolonged bombardment. This raises a question that may define the months to come. Has Ukraine found its strategic shift, where one precise mobile strike can undo hours of enemy preparation? Could this be the moment that tips the command balance in Kyiv's favor? In the end, Ukraine's operation wasn't a burst of overwhelming force, it was a lesson in patience and precision. Kyiv didn't chase quantity, it waited. It watched, mapped, and planned until one precise strike shattered what was meant to be invulnerable. Instead of artillery hell, they delivered a single, precise blow capable of rewriting a battlefield's logic. That single coordinated strike transformed a heavily fortified underground bunker into rubble. It proved that no structure, no matter how buried and defended, is truly safe. This isn't just about collapsing concrete and lost commanders. It's a signal received loud and clear across Eastern Europe's battle lines. Nowhere is beyond reach. Hidden tunnels, secluded command sites, reinforced archives, all can be found and struck when intelligence, patience, and advanced weapon systems align. One expert note echoes this shift. After Ukraine began integrating Western smart munitions, including JDAM-ER bombs guided by GPS/INS, its ability to deliver surgical strikes deep behind enemy lines increased dramatically. The move changed the cost-benefit equation of war. Precision now trumped saturation, and silence proved more deadly than volume. So let me leave you with this question. If even a buried command bunker cannot guarantee safety, what does that say about the integrity of Russia's entire command structure? Can their leadership ever truly trust a system that can be exposed not by brute force, but by patience, pattern recognition, and smart bombs? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this deep dive into military secrets hooked you, hit subscribe to Military Power and ring the bell for more breakdowns on tactics, tech, and strategy.